Deborah Ramirez wanted nothing to do with this whole thing, this smear campaign that the New York Times was putting out there. But even though the New York Times released their amendments to what they had said and included things that were not included in the original story, which would have made it a lot less sensational and would have been hearsay of friends of these two people from 40 years ago at a dorm college party. And the thing about all that is that once that article was out there, it doesn't matter about the amended article. The damage is done. This man has another charge leveled against him, the first of which he was cleared of. And this one is not, it's going to be nothing more than the article, but it's just like, in case the public forgot that this Supreme Court justice is a rapist, is a sexual predator, let's put something else out there, regardless of whether or not it's true, just to reassert how horrible this man is and drag his family and him through another few months of BS. It is disgusting.
It is absolutely disgusting. And when you look at it even further, when you start peeling the onion back, what does Brett Kavanaugh stand for? Brett Kavanaugh stands for good conservative American values, and one thing he does not stand for is abortion and Roe v. Wade. And what they are doing right now, and what I'm almost positive they've already done to Justice John Roberts, what they're doing is trying to intimidate this guy into thinking twice before he introduces anything at the Supreme Court that would go against Roe v. Wade and the abortion industry.
Oh, yeah. This is what we can do. They're giving him a little taste.
Exactly.
Keep him scared.
They're keeping him scared. They're trying to keep him on his toes. They're giving him an example of what they can do and what they will do using their media pawns. It is unbelievable. It is so evil and decrepit and downright wrong. We should all be up in arms about this, man. It's really unbelievable.
Well, we're not, and it's completely acceptable because of the times that we live in. Even though everyone is aware of just how what's the right word for it? Just how manipulative the mainstream news media is when it comes to a story like this. This man is in the stocks with fruit thrown at him because everything else could be a lie that the New York Times puts out there, but not this. Not a sexual misconduct accusation leveled at the disgusting Brett Kavanaugh. It's pretty sad, to be honest with you.
It really is, man. It really is. It's sad. It's also incredibly disturbing. And Brett Kavanaugh is just one example of people who have fallen victim to this cancel culture mentality, the mob mentality. It's just so shameful, and it makes me sad. It makes me want to throw my hands up and just put my head down and not do anything. Not do anything at all.
You can't do that. You can't do that because that is exactly what they want, man.
It really is. And it's really interesting to me, brother, that anytime we start talking about things on a moral level, things like abortion, Brett Kavanaugh obviously being against that, and obviously that's a sensitive subject, but in my mind, abortion is nothing more than infanticide. That's what it is. You can sugarcoat it all day long, but what we're doing in reality is killing babies. There's no other explanation for it. So when you start talking about things from that perspective, and then you start talking about things like the Jeffrey Epstein case, where we're obviously dealing with something so evil and disgusting that, and you start going, so how does this happen and why does this happen? The only logical explanation that I can come up with is that we really are experiencing a battle between good and evil that's playing out in the spiritual world and spilling out over into the material world, because when you take everything into account, everything that we do as human beings, things like pornography, the public shaming and mob mentality, the drug abuse, the poverty, the abortion, the wars that we're involved in, the worshiping of professional athletes, the worshiping of celebrities who buy multi-million-dollar mansions in cities with freaking ghettos, the mainstream news media personalities who just lie all day long, the normalization of perversion, of being sexually just decrepit, the public displays of that, and everything in between. There's just all this bad stuff going on, man, and there is no other explanation than there is a just evil, dark, evil force out there at work, and we are the victims of that. These aren't human being decisions being made. I can't even, for the life of me, think about any of these things and just go, oh yeah, that, I'd do that, or I know somebody who would do that. I don't know anybody that would do any of this stuff.
It is the work of people appealing to their base natures. If there is a higher power, be it a good or an evil higher power, that is driving or influencing the way we conduct ourselves here on Earth, we are driving the car. We are steering the ship. We are just blindly charging forward with whatever newfangled perverse idea is next. There's something wrong with what's going on right now, and it is all-encompassing thing. It's very strange.
It really is, man. And I think that until we recognize that we really are being manipulated by these just possessed people, we're never going to come out from underneath this. And it can get discouraging. But but like you said, we cannot give up on this stuff. And I would just encourage people to think. And, a good place to start is recognizing our weaknesses as human beings. We as human beings, we know that we want life to be manageable and convenient and rewarding. We know that we're influenced by people in positions of authority. We know that we want to take people's word at face value, and we want to believe that human beings are good, honest people. Those are all admirable traits, right? You can't knock on any of that. But
For sure.
we have to recognize that those traits are our weaknesses when it comes to this stuff. All those traits that the majority of human beings possess, that can get us in hot water, right? Because we're going to start listening to the wrong people. We're going to start believing, lies that are told to us about things like let's take the Saudi Aramco drone attack situation.
Yes, is this your entry to the biggest lie of the week?
Exactly. This is back to the biggest lie of the week. This, in my opinion, is not just the biggest lie of the week, it's the biggest lie of the past, at least a month. It's unbelievable. And obviously, I'm not going to pretend to know what's going on here. I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
That's across the planet, somewhere else entirely. We're obviously not going to get any good information from the media. Hell no. But what I can say is that we're not being told the truth about this situation. I'm supposed to believe, no matter how you look at it, whether it's the Houthi rebels shooting drones 500 miles from Yemen to Saudi Arabia, or it's the cruise missiles, or it's Iran who's behind it, it's just too perfect. We've been trying to get into this Iran situation for months and months, for years, for decades. Iran has been the enemy.
Yeah.
And if you hearken back to the false flag attacks that have propelled us into war in the past, this stinks to high heaven of false flag garbage. And I would just caution the president to think about this before he makes a decision. And from what I can tell, that is what he's doing, and kudos to him for that. But,
I've been getting that sense as well. He's not quite as easy to manipulate as previous leaders that we've had.
He's proven to us on multiple different occasions that he does have the intestinal fortitude to stand up for what he believes in. Not all the time, but a lot of the times. And I hope that he stands firm on this Iran deal and follows through on the campaign promise he made to us that the interventionist stuff was just going to go away. But,
Amen.
a country like Saudi Arabia and a country like Israel, they want the U.S. to be in Iran bombing and killing people. They want that. They're going to do everything they can to make that happen. So in my mind, the logical thing behind this is either inside job in Saudi Arabia or Israel's behind it. It just doesn't make sense to me that Iran would pull a move like this at this point in time, knowing that the stakes are high and knowing that the U.S. military is just waiting for a reason to get in there and start effing things up. And
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yeah, it's an asinine move, and it's pretty blatantly obvious. It's not obvious what is going on, but it's obvious that there's some other things at play here. Be on high alert.
High alert,
for
man.
What happens next.
High alert, and we can't forget that we have a big election coming up, presidential election. We've said before, things are going to go down. Things like this are going to happen. We're going to see violence. We're going to see more false flag type operations
Yes,
happen.
sir.
And Iran would be a big one. And there are a lot of people out there looking for this administration to fail. And who knows? Unfortunately, that's the world we live in. And
It is, and war would be one of those things. It would be one of those things where if we enter into a large-scale conflict like this, no matter what the cause is, it is not going to look good for Donald Trump. It just
not
won't.
for his base.
Nobody wants war.
Not for his base.
Nobody wants war.
Nope. He went into this on a non-interventionist platform, and people are expecting that to be how he operates. And anything to the contrary is going to be looked upon by his base as a failure. So let's just pray for him that he has that intestinal fortitude he needs to continue standing up to these dirtbags and continue doing the right thing in this realm, because as of now, he's been pretty good about staying out of other people's business. That said, there have been, conflicts ongoing that we've maintained a presence in. Definitely disappointing, but I don't think Donald Trump, being the America First type guy that he is, wants to be involved in other people's affairs. So let's just say a prayer for that guy. And you know what I'd like to do now, brother? I'd like to move on to another game that I want to start playing with you. And this one's called The Biggest Loser of the Week.
You're a loser.
Yes.
I think this one's it's not going to take as much time. I think it's going to be pretty to the point.
No.
And my candidate for the biggest loser of the week was going to be Kamala Harris, because
Oh, we have a change.
no, yep, we do. It was going to be Kamala because I just can't stand that woman. But I'm going to have to change my pick to, you guessed it, Beto. And for all the reasons that we've already discussed. Now, who's your biggest pick, brother?
Unfortunately, my pick was Beto O'Rourke as well.
Imagine that. Imagine that.
For a very small, specific reason. But, I don't want you led, so I'm going to let you go. And if you say my reason, we will just leave it at that.
Well, Beto, to me, the reason that he claims the title of the biggest loser of the week is that he's just been on a roll. He's been on a roll telling lies, infringing on our constitutional rights. He's been saying one thing to one person and another thing to another person, and expecting us not to recognize that. He thinks we're all idiots. He thinks that we are all just begging for him to be the president. And I got news for you, Beto. Nobody likes you, man.
That's a good enough reason. That's that would definitely put him in the running. And my one thing would be, which kind of takes us back to the whole Twitter town square thing, is old Beto O'Rourke tweeted, "Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15." And a Republican congressman by the name of Briscoe Cain tweeted back, "My AR is ready for you, Robert Francis." And What does Beto do? He reports him to the FBI. He said that he got a death threat and sent that to the FBI. So that, I feel, is good enough to put him up there in the running for me. 100%.
That makes Beto the biggest loser of the week for me as well,
Yeah.
dude. I mean, come on.
That's it.
You're gonna threaten to take away something that I rightfully own, but then you're gonna turn around and tell the FBI that you're getting a death
Run
threat.
and tell his parents.
I mean,
Yep.
Unbelievable. This guy is such a coward. He's such a
He's
loser.
got no backbone.
No backbone. He's spineless. He's not even a real person. He's definitely a lizard person from the,
He is a lizard.
These people are lizards. I have no time for him. Beto, screw off. You're a loser. Let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about the Amazon TV show The Boys. And the reason I want to
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
I want to bring this up because, every once in a while, these companies like Amazon, Netflix, your Hulus, they expose the truth. They expose themselves and they let us into what's really going on. And I think this show, The Boys, it really paints a picture of our current reality. What do you think about that?
I would agree 100%. And I watched the show in its entirety. I enjoyed the show, and I feel like one of the reasons that it resonated with me was because of that reason specifically. It felt all too real. I mean, I've never been a big Marvel guy, not so much into the superhero thing. I guess if I had to choose, I'd be a DC over Marvel guy. The Avengers does not do it for me. I've never been a fan of that. And so when the show came out, I was a little wary of it, because all this stuff is so sensationalized, and it's so fictional. It's so just untrue to how the world would look if there were people with these superhuman abilities. And this show, it was quite a representation of how things could be if these people did exist.
Exactly, man. That's exactly what it is. It really shows you the direction we'd go were people to be born with superhuman abilities. And you can make the argument that we already have that happening, and those superhuman abilities are buying power, right? So we have people currently living in this country, in this world, that are above the law, that don't face justice the way the people at the bottom do. And the reason behind that is because they have money. And The Boys does a great job of painting a picture of what we are currently living in this country in particular, in the West in particular, and I appreciate they did that.
Yeah, it was a great parallel.